Hi guys, my name is Matt and I'm a physio student here at Go Physio, and what I'm going to do today is take you through some stretches that are for runners. So we'll focus on the lower back, the glutes, the quads, the hamstrings and the calves. So if that sounds like your type of thing, then grab a bit of space and follow along with me. So the first position, we'll start off with a 90-90 stretch. So what that means is we'll start with our knees out in front of us, and then we'll just let our knees fall off to either side. And we'll alternate this 5 times on each side, so 10 in total. And the reason this stretch is called a 90-90 stretch is because we want your hips and your knees at the end position to be in a 90 degrees. You should feel this in both of the hips. I feel it mainly in the top hip, but you might feel it in the bottom hip as well. Okay, and 5. And then what we can do from here, if we go into a pigeon stretch, we start to stretch the glutes. So if we come into all fours, and then we'll take one leg underneath the opposite arm, and then we'll sit down into it. And what you should feel is a nice stretch in the glute with the leg that's facing forwards. If you sit down further into it, you feel more of a stretch. And also if you lean down further into it, you can feel more of a stretch. If you want to take some of the stretch off of it, then you can lean out of it quite easily. So we'll sit here for sort of 15 to 20 seconds, and then we'll alternate to the other side. Okay, and to switch to the other side, we'll come back into kneeling on all fours, and then we'll take this time for the right leg, and I'll put it underneath the left arm, put my knee on the floor, and then I'll sit down into the stretch. I can feel this stretch in the outside of the glute here, and to make it a little bit harder, like I said, I'm just going to lean down a little bit more into it. We'll hold most of these stretches today for sort of 15 to 20 seconds. Okay. And as we're in this position, we can come quite easily into a lizard stretch. So what we're going to do is take one leg, pop it out in front of us at 90 degrees, and then we can lean down further into it. You can stay further forwards onto your mat, but I'm going to twist just so that you can see what I'm doing. So what we're doing with this, take one leg out in front, knee at 90 degrees, and then come down into it. If you want to make it a bit harder, you can push your knee further outwards. And then this is quite a nice position because we can move about and really try and feel some tight spots. And then if you feel a tight spot, then you can just spend a bit of time in that spot. And you should start to feel it loosen off. So 15 to 20 seconds. With any of these stretches, if you want to pause the video, if you feel like you need a little bit more time on each stretch, then you're absolutely welcome to do so. So just moving around, trying to find some points of restriction. Spending a bit of time at that point. So to switch sides, we'll come back onto all fours. Take the right leg this time out in front of you, and then we'll just push the knee outwards and sit down into it. Again, if you want to make the stretch harder, then you can bring your chest down to the floor. If you want to make it a bit easier, then you can take your chest up, away from the floor. Just rolling around, trying to find some nice points of restriction, and then hanging out in that position. Okay. Next, we'll go to the hamstrings. So if you lie on your back, and we'll bring the hamstring, if you want to stretch first, up to 90 degrees at the hip. Hold that there with your hands, and then we'll just kick up to the ceiling, and then back down. kick up to the ceiling, and back down. We'll do this between 6 and 8 times on each side. And if you're feeling any tightness in the calf or down into the foot, then what you can do in this position is just point your toes a little bit further away from you. If you want to make it harder, then you can bring your toes towards your chest. But to make it easier, just point your toes away from you. Okay, so we'll now go on to a glute stretch that we can do while sat here. So if you come into 90 degrees, you can use that in front of you again. Take one foot and bring it underneath the opposite leg. Now your top foot, I need you to bring it all the way over, and then take the outside hand, loop it right around and grab hold of your thigh. Once you pull this in tight to your chest, you should start to feel a bit of a stretch in the glute. And then to make it a little bit tougher, we can lean down into it, and you should feel a nice stretch in your glute. It's quite important in this position to lean forwards in the direction of the knees going. And if you're struggling with your balance a little bit, then try leaning a little bit further forwards, because if we end up leaning off over in this position, it's a little bit more difficult to balance. So hugging the knee, and then leaning down in the direction of the knees facing. Hold this for 15 to 20 seconds. Pulling that knee right close into your chest. And to switch over to the other side, bring your knees back into 90. This time I'm going to take the left leg, the right leg, bring it underneath the left side, and then pull the left side over as far as we can. We'll take the outside arm, pull it right over to the thigh, and squeeze that thigh into your chest. I can already feel it here in my glutes, but to make it a little bit tougher, we can lean over to the direction of the knees facing again. And just hold this for 15 to 20 seconds. Taking some nice deep breaths at the bottom of this position as well. As with all of the positions at the bottom, if we just take some nice deep breaths in, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then a nice deep breath out. Okay. From here, we're going to focus a little bit more on the lower back. So we'll do what's called a child's pose. So we'll come back onto all fours again, pop our hands slightly further out in front of us, and then just sit back onto the heels. Again, the breathing here at the bottom of the position is really important. So in for 4, so in. Hold for 2, so hold. And out for 4. Just repeat this a few times. So you might feel this stretch in your lower back, you might feel it in your shoulders, you might feel it in your hips. It's basically looking for anywhere where your side is slightly stretched to get lots of joints. And begin to breathe at the bottom. Here, for an exercise to focus a little bit further up the spine and a little bit into the core muscles as well. We can reach under and thread the needle under the other arm, and then reach up to the sky. And then thread the needle under the arm. We'll do this 5 times on each side to the sky. 3. 5. So what we might feel when we're reaching Unders, you might feel it in the lower back a little bit, and then as you reach up to the sky, you might feel it in your tummy muscles stretching there a bit more. That's 1, 2, 3, and last one. Okay. So now we're going to focus a little bit more on the hip flexors and the quads. So back into kneeling, and then we'll take one knee up and keep the knee in front at 90 degrees. And from here, we'll just stick into our hip a little bit. You should feel a nice stretch in the front of this hip. What's really important in this position is to keep a posterior tilted pelvis. So what I mean by that is this is an anteriorly tilted pelvis. This is a posteriorly tilted pelvis. So with this position, if you have an anteriorly tilted pelvis, you can actually go really, really far in front of the hip. But that's not what we want. We want a posteriorly tilted pelvis. And with that, I can only sort of go this far before I'm feeling it quite heavily in front of my hip. To make this a little bit harder, take the hand on the leg that's being stretched, and we'll lean right over, and you should feel more of a stretch in front of the hip. If you're struggling for balance in this position, then just make sure your outside leg is far enough away from the body so it increases your base of support a little bit, gives you a lot more balance. If it's too narrow, then you're going to struggle with the balance of it. So from here, if you try to focus on the quads a little bit more, take the hand on the strong side, pop it on the floor just for balance. And then at that point, we can grab the foot and pull it up to the bum. And then as we come up, you should feel a nice stretch of the quads. To make it harder, you can pull your foot further into you, and to make it easier, you can loosen that arm forward. You should feel a nice stretch in your quadriceps here. We'll hold this for 15 to 20 seconds. To make it a little bit harder as well, you can try and sit down into it a bit more and pull your heel in towards the bottom. But to switch over to the other side, we'll do all of that again. So back onto all fours, come back upwards, pop the other leg in front of you at 90 degrees. From here, we'll sit down into the hip, and this is when I start to feel a stretch in the front of my hip. Remember about that posteriorly tilted pelvis, so we have anteriorly tilted and posteriorly tilted. Keep it posteriorly tilted as we lean forwards. To make this harder, the hand on the leg on the side that's being stretched, and lean right over. Remembering again, if you're struggling for balance, just take the leg that's higher a little bit further out for a bit more support. And to change this to more of a quadricep bias, take the hand on the leg that's the balancing leg, put it on the floor, and grab the back foot. Now as we come up, nice stretch in the quadriceps. Put it tight into you for a big stretch, and then to loosen it off a little bit, just take it a bit further away from you. Nice deep breaths while we're here as well. In through the nose and out through the mouth. So we'll go in for 4, and then hold for 2, and then out through the mouth for 4. Now we'll go into more of a hamstring stretch. So in the same position as we were before, I'll show you on this side. We rock forwards, and then as we come back, straighten the leg as we sit down into our heels. Again, straightening the leg. And as we straighten the leg, that's when we feel a nice stretch in the hamstrings. We'll do 6 of these on each side, so that's 3. And as with the other stretches, if you lean further forwards, it makes it harder, which make it a little bit easier. If you just lean backwards a little bit, come away from the stretch a bit, it makes it slightly easier for you. Okay, let's switch over to the other side. Right leg at 90 degrees, lean forwards, and as we come back, straighten that leg, keeping the heel in contact with the mat. 3, and we'll go to 6. 5 and 6. So the last 2 movements, we will do a downward dog, which will focus on the hamstrings and a bit of the calves as well, and then we'll add a little bit of an alternation to it to stretch the hamstrings in turn as well. So we come into the downward dog. Now you may be happy to stay in this position, you may feel quite a nice stretch here, but if you want to focus more on each leg individually, then we can just alternate bending each knee here. And what this does, as we're tapping the back heel on the floor, we get a nice stretch in the hamstrings and the calves. Remember to breathe whilst we're here. Of course, feel free to pause the video at any point if you want to spend a little bit longer on any of these positions. And our final position of the day, we're just going to go down into a cobra just to stretch the lower back and the tummy muscles as well. So you might feel it, like I say, in the lower back when you're here, or you might feel a nice stretch in the front as well. You can take some nice deep breaths in this position. You won't be able to breathe as deeply as normal, but as deep as you can. And just hang out here for 15 to 20 seconds. Nice deep breaths. Okay, so that's us done. We come back to sitting slowly. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope you took something from it that you can add to your program, and keep an eye out on our YouTube channel for some more videos.